219 local, Red Sea, 18 degrees 47 north, 57 degrees 33 east. The night is absolute. No moon, no horizon line, only the low phosphorescent churn of the wake behind USS Abraham Lincoln, as the carrier holds its southeasterly course at 12 knots, 94,000 tons of displacement moving through the Arabian Sea with the unhurried authority of something that has never needed to hurry. In Combat Information Center, 6 decks below the flight deck, the radar picture is a discipline of geometry, concentric rings, bearing lines, the soft amber glow of 31 contacts, all categorized, all tracked, all benign. The watch team rotates its checks in a rhythm that has been repeated so many times it has become physiological, as natural as breathing. Then, at bearing 047, a contact appears that was not there on the previous sweep. It is small. Its radar cross-section is inconsistent with any of the 31 known contacts on the plot. It does not carry a transponder signal. It is moving at 93 knots on a bearing that, if extended, resolves against the carrier's projected position in approximately 19 minutes. The petty officer at the air search console does not raise his voice. He types his annotation into the system and says quietly to the watch officer beside him, "New air contact, 047, range 41 miles, designating Sierra Alpha 1. The watch officer looks at the track. He picks up the interphone. "Captain, CIC, you'll want to see this." The captain arrives in 90 seconds. He is not running, he never runs. Sierra Alpha 1 holds its bearing. It does not deviate. It does not accelerate. It simply comes at 93 knots on a track that is becoming, with each successive radar sweep, less ambiguous. At this range and this speed, the contact is consistent with a Shad series loitering munition, Iranian in origin, simple in design, cheap to produce, and extraordinarily difficult to dismiss as non-threatening given the current threat environment in this body of water. The carrier's carrier air wing, CVW-9, has 2 F-35CS on 5-minute alert on the starboard bow. They are not yet being called. The captain looks at the track geometry. He looks at the time to CPA. He looks at the 2 pilots sitting in their cockpits on deck, helmets on, waiting. He says, "What's the wind?" The answer comes back, 030 at 14 knots, sir. He nods. He says nothing else for 40 seconds. By 2:24, Sierra Alpha 1 has closed to 36 nautical miles. The AN/SPS-48 three-dimensional air search radar aboard the carrier has now built sufficient track history to refine its classification. The contact is flying at 940 feet above mean sea level, maintaining constant airspeed, displaying no electronic emissions of its own. This is consistent with a Shad 136 or a variant thereof, a delta-winged loitering munition roughly 2 meters in wingspan, carrying an approximately 40-kilogram warhead, guided by GPS with a terminal infrared seeker. It does not think. It does not hesitate. It was given a coordinate, and it is going there. The man who programmed that coordinate is not present. He is, in all probability, in a control facility somewhere on the Iranian coastline or aboard a vessel to the northeast, and he has done his job with competence. The drone is on course, on profile, and on time. He has given it everything it needs. What happens next is no longer his to control. This is not terrorism. This is a military operation conducted by trained personnel executing a doctrine. The distinction matters, even when the outcome may be identical. At 2:26, the USS Lake Champlain, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser screening the carrier's northeastern quadrant, acquires Sierra Alpha 1 on its own fire control radar. The AN Spy 1 illuminates the contact with the precise, cold efficiency of a system that has been designed for exactly this moment. The contact is now held by 2 independent fire control solutions, cross-referenced and confirmed. The watch officer aboard Lake Champlain hails Sierra Alpha 1 on guard frequency. He identifies the carrier strike group and issues a warning in English, then in Farsi. No response. This is not because the drone cannot receive. It is because the drone was not built to receive. It has no radio. It has no pilot to answer. The silence from Sierra Alpha 1 is not an act of defiance. It is a design choice made weeks or months ago by engineers who understood that an unanswered hail cannot be prosecuted as a hostile act, and that the ambiguity created by that silence is itself a form of weapon. The silence is built in, it is structural, and it buys time. At 2:28, range has closed to 29 nautical miles. The captain of Abraham Lincoln looks at the plot one more time. Then he gives a single order: launch the alert. This is not a scramble. It is a message written in afterburner. The two F-35CS break from the deck in under 4 minutes. They do not rush. The sequence: catapult tension check, hold back release, full military power, deck clear, gear up, is performed with the precision of an operation that has been rehearsed 10,000 times. The pilots do not feel urgency. They feel readiness, which is a different and more useful state. The flight leader, call sign Sabre 1, climbs to 8,000 feet and turns northeast. Her radar, the AN/APG-81 AESA, acquires Sierra Alpha 1 at 24 nautical miles. The return is weak, fragmented. A drone's radar cross-section is not a fighter's, and the system is working to maintain the track through sea clutter and atmospheric refraction. But it holds. She calls it in. Sabre 1, contact 045, 24 miles, low and slow. The controller aboard the carrier says, Sabre 1 cleared to investigate. Hold fire until authorized. She says, copy. She does not say anything else. At 2:32, the range between Sabre 1 and Sierra Alpha 1 closes to 8 nautical miles. The F-35C is faster by 600 knots and has been flying a direct intercept, but she bleeds speed on approach, not caution geometry. She wants a visual identification pass before the weapons question becomes a weapons answer. At 6 nautical miles, she has it. The infrared sensor resolves the contact. Delta wing, pusher propeller at the tail, no cockpit, no markings visible. The airframe is consistent with a shod variant. It is flying straight and level at 940 feet. It is not evading. It cannot evade. It was not built to. She transmits. Visual. Consistent with shod series. Bearing continuing toward the strike group. The controller says, stand by. Aboard the carrier, the captain receives the visual confirmation. He looks at the bearing extension one more time. 21 minutes to CPA with the ship. He looks at the classified threat assessment on the secondary display. He makes a decision that involves no drama and no hesitation, because he has made this decision many times in simulation and has known for the last 11 minutes that he was going to make it now. Weapons free on Sierra Alpha 1. The authorization travels up the circuit to Sabre 1 in 4 seconds. 4 seconds after that, she fires. The AIM-9X leaves the rail. The engagement envelope is well within parameters. The missile does not miss. It was designed for this. A slow, non-maneuvering target at close range is not a challenge for this weapons system. It is a function. Sierra Alpha 1 ceases to exist as a coherent object at 2:34 local time. Its debris field falls into the Red Sea at approximately 18 degrees 52 N, 57 degrees 41 E, marking a position that will be logged, georeferenced, and reported to the chain of command in language that will be precise and unemotional, because that is the language this institution speaks. Sabre 1 transmits. Splash 1. No further contacts. Copy, RTB. Sabre 1, RTB. She turns southwest. She does not feel triumph. She feels the particular satisfaction of a professional who has performed a task correctly, which is the only kind of satisfaction that survives the debrief. Aboard the carrier, the captain says to no one in particular, "What's the deck status?" The answer, "Deck is green, sir. Recovery in 12 minutes." He nods. He goes back to looking at the radar picture, which is now 30 contacts, all categorized, all tracked, all benign. At 3:11 local time, Iranian state media begins transmitting a report. The report states that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has successfully struck the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln with drones. The report describes the carrier as having sustained significant damage, describes the strike group as withdrawing from the area, and describes the operation as a major military achievement demonstrating Iranian precision strike capability. The report is detailed. It is confident. It includes language about coordinates and impact assessments and strategic consequences. Every specific claim it contains is false. This is not an error. It is not confusion about what happened. The people who wrote that report understand, with certainty, that no drone reached the carrier, that no damage occurred, that the strike group is not withdrawing and has no intention of withdrawing. They know this because the drone went silent, not because it hit something, but because it was intercepted, and the absence of any secondary reporting, any signal from the target area, any independent confirmation tells anyone paying careful attention exactly what that silence means. The silence from the drone after 2:34 is not evidence of a successful strike. It is evidence of a dead drone, but the report does not wait for evidence. It is not built on evidence. It is built on something else, on the calculation that a significant percentage of the people who read it will not have access to countervailing information in the next several hours, and that perception in the early hours is worth more than accuracy. The claim spreads. Regional media picks it up. Social platforms amplify it. For approximately 90 minutes, there exists in the global information environment a version of this morning in which Iran struck an American supercarrier. It is a version with no physical reality. At 3:48, U.S. Central Command releases a statement. The statement is 22 words. It states that no Iranian drone or missile struck any vessel in the carrier strike group, that the strike group remains fully operational, and that operations continue. It does not use dramatic language. It does not describe what actually happened in operational detail. It simply states what is true with the confidence of an institution that does not need to convince anyone of anything, because the ship is still there, still turning into the wind to recover aircraft, still broadcasting its position on the AIS frequencies it chooses to broadcast on, and will still be there tomorrow and the day after. The captain of Abraham Lincoln reads the CENTCOM statement when it is shown to him at 4:01. He reads it once. He says nothing. He hands the tablet back. He says, "What's the weather for the 600 cycle?" Not with fury, but with continuity. Not with vindication, but with schedule. By 600, the flight deck is running a full cycle. 4 FA-18E Super Hornets are airborne on combat air patrol. 2 E-2D Hawkeyes are aloft on radar picket stations. An MH-60R is conducting surface search to the northeast. The carrier is doing what carriers do, projecting aviation power across a geographic area so large that the math of it is difficult to communicate without a map. The claim that this ship was struck, that this operation was disrupted, that this strike group withdrew, collides with the observable reality of that flight deck and does not survive the collision. The Shahd drone that was launched at 2:19 and destroyed at 2:34 accomplished nothing that it was designed to accomplish. But it accomplished something else, something perhaps unintended. It demonstrated in the most direct possible terms the exact capability of the system it was sent to challenge. The carrier's sensors detected it at 41 miles. The cruiser's fire control acquired it. The fighters launched cleanly. The intercept was executed inside 11 minutes from launch to splash. The deck recovered the aircraft and continued operations without interruption. The entire sequence played out with the mechanical confidence of a system that had been built, trained, funded, and maintained for precisely this kind of event. The drone was not a threat that was barely survived. It was a problem that was solved before most of the carrier's crew knew it existed. This is not luck. It is architecture. What the Iranian information operation understood correctly, and what its drone operation understood incorrectly, is which instrument was more likely to achieve an effect. The drone failed against a layered air defense system that is arguably the most sophisticated in the world. The information operation succeeded briefly, partially, in selected audiences, because information environments do not have Aegis radar and F-35CS. They have speed and ambiguity and the human tendency to believe dramatic things. The IRGC targeted both systems simultaneously and got exactly one of those calculations right. That asymmetry is worth sitting with because it is not unique to this morning in the Red Sea. The struggle between what happened and what is claimed to have happened is not a new feature of conflict. It is as old as the first battle report written by the side that lost. What is new is the speed at which a false claim can achieve global saturation before the true account can organize itself into sentences. The carrier's existence is a fact. The drone's interception is a fact. These facts are not in competition with the Iranian report. They simply exist on a different timescale, slower, more documentary, requiring verification that takes hours while the claim takes seconds. In that gap, the information operation lives, and the gap is not closing. What the captain of Abraham Lincoln understands, and what the architects of the drone operation perhaps also understand, is that none of this changes the fundamental condition. The ship is there. The air wing is there. The defensive systems that absorbed and destroyed this morning's threat will absorb and destroy the next one, and the one after that, not because of any particular heroism or any particular hatred, but because the institution was built to do exactly that, and it does it. The carrier does not claim victory over a drone. It does not need to. It simply continues. A carrier strike group is not a symbol of American power. It is American power, converted into steel and jet fuel and trained human beings, and placed in the water where it can be seen by anyone who needs to see it. It projects no ideology. It broadcasts no grievance. It simply exists at a position, and its existence changes the calculations of every other actor within its range, which is very large. You cannot claim a ship is sinking while it is launching aircraft. The aircraft are the answer. The flight deck is the argument. And the sea keeps no secrets for long.